Eliza, great to have you back on board. And better than that, it's so good to see you competing again, smiling again, and actually achieving again.
Yes, thank you. It is. It's really good. It's been quite a rapid season really for me, and I went from quite low heights when I first started back in January to jumping much higher by the end of March. So it was quite a rapid rise in the end, but it's been really exciting, really, just to get back into my sport, into my job, and into my normal life again. It's just been fantastic.
And that's it. I mean, this is it, isn't it? I mean, I turned the clock back 7 years ago is when you won your medal in Rio. It just seems like, wow, it's that long ago.
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy, isn't it? I think I was just so young when I went to Rio, and I just had no expectation of medaling, and I could just be very free in how I competed. So I found myself in one of those perfect situations, and I'm aware that it's not going to be like that again, and it's going to be more of a battle, and there's going to be more expectations at another Olympics. But I'm just so pleased that I'm still able to keep going and keep getting out there and competing.
Is there, when you look back, is there a kind of almost a naivety that you were 19 years old? It was also brand new, it was also exciting, and I suppose you don't ever think at that stage what was going to happen to you was going to happen.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, and you're so right. I mean, I was the underdog, and that suited me so nicely, and it worked so well. So I was just able to come out and just not be concerned at all about what the result is, and I think that's a massive, that's such a huge pressure on most people, and for me on most competitions. So that was just one of those situations where everything just kind of aligned. Absolutely did not feel like having spent most of those years competing, but continuing to train in the sport anyway. So it's far from what I envisioned and planned for and hoped for and worked towards. So it was, it's quite shocking even now, because I look back on the last few years and my normal was just training. And that's just bizarre for a high-performance athlete for that many years. That's a bit weird. So I'm very pleased to be back competing again now.
Eliza McCartney with us on the platform. How low did you go, and also what did you learn about yourself during? I mean, because I know that there must be dark times and just times where it's bleak and you despair and you wonder what the heck's going to happen to you and whether you can actually even use that leg in the same way anymore and all of that kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely. I think what I've learned most in the last 18 months is that I completely lost trust in my body being able to physically pole vault, let alone just do kind of day-to-day activities. And I'm still not past that, so that's just going to be a real work in progress for a long time, I think. But yeah, I think when this is my livelihood, it's my job, it's so many things for me, and when that's kind of taken from you, and it's out of your control, it does really feel like you just kind of spin into this big field of being lost, and you don't know what to do and who you are and what you should be trying to achieve, whether you should keep going or not. So it was as you can imagine, a really challenging time, because it just threw into question who I was and what I was trying to do with my life, and that's not easy for anybody. So no, it was really challenging at times. And in some ways, the last few years was a bit of a blur to me, because it was just quite a hole that whole time. And for various reasons, I kind of continued. And now looking back at it, it was a strange time. And I'm very fortunate and I'm very grateful that I've been able to pull through and get back to it, so that I don't leave the sport in kind of an ugly way like that.
Well, what do you want to still do? Is it? I mean, what if you could just write one thing down and say, this is it. If I could get this done, I would be really, really happy, and I could walk away. What would it be?
Oh, it was a hard one, because I mean, the most obvious would be, everyone wants to win a gold at an Olympic Games.
Yeah.
Coming up in the next 18 months, and so of course I want to do that. But I guess realistically, I wouldn't have to do that much to walk away happy. I think just the fact that if I can get back in the next 2 years, spend it competing and being very competitive and jumping the same heights I used to, if not higher, and getting a chance to compete at all these majors and a shot at winning a medal at all of these competitions and a shot at the world record, I think I'd be just satisfied to get back to where I was and be loving it that much. I think that could be enough for sure.
471, everyone's applauding, going, wow, you're back at the world champs and everything. But 494 is where you've gone. And so, that's a hell of a gap, isn't it, in terms of pole vault?
It is. No, you're right. And 471 was a big achievement because of how long it's taken me to get back into things, and now I've secured a place at World Champs more or less, and so I don't have to worry about it. But you're right, it's not. It was always a height in the past that I could easily do, and so it's funny that I think this season it turned into a height that I could easily do, but it wasn't when I started, and that was a bit concerning for me. But I knew I had to just keep working away with it. And then I managed a 475 at my last comp, and that was a really easy clearance. I know I've got more in me still, but it's just, it's just not all going to come on one day, and I'm on this really lovely, almost steep trajectory at the moment of improving again, so I'm feeling really confident about where I'm heading. But for an opening season in New Zealand where I don't have much competition, it was a pretty good outcome. I was pretty happy with that.
So, how's the plan? What is the plan from here? Are you on restriction? I mean, do you have sort of like, okay, instructions? You're not allowed to do this. You're only allowed to do this. You can't push yourself this, because I bet that there are times you're just champing at the bit and go, okay, I'm right. I'm ready again. I'm fit again. I'm going again. We're doing everything again and doubling and tripling. Is it a bit like that?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both, really. Like, I mean, no one's telling me I can't do anything, but my body's still not quite allowing me to just go out there and do whatever I like. I'm still a little bit restricted, and it's easing up slowly over the season. It's been improving, and I think it will keep improving. I'd be quite shocked if I was to go backwards, just because I'm able to train consistently now. I'm able to pole vault consistently, so I don't see it going backwards. But it's I think the easiest way to describe it is, particularly my Achilles just seems to have this real memory of pain when pole vaulting, and although it's looking really healthy, there's nothing physically obviously wrong with it, I still get pain, and it still can limit me quite a lot sometimes when I'm jumping. So I think that's just going to be something that's going to take time to kind of desensitize. So I can't just do everything, but I can do enough at the moment, and the fact that I can train consistently means that it's just likely to slowly calm down over the year.
Is there anything you know that you don't know now about an Achilles heel and an injury? I bet you've read and been told. Absolutely, you'd be a world expert, wouldn't you?
I don't know about that, but I certainly can tell you a lot about how to treat them and the best way that my body responds to it, and the anatomy and all those things. all from experience, of course.
Eliza, part of it is that I don't know how to phrase this properly. Forgive me if I get it clumsy, but you've almost grown up in the public eye over these last 7 years, haven't you? I mean, of course, you're a young woman when you went to the Olympics, but what I mean by that is how do you cope with all the attention and the people knowing you, and the fact that you aren't just Eliza McCartney who can walk around, you are Eliza McCartney now, this medalist and this pole vaulter, and everyone knows who you are?
Yeah. It was, I think the first time I struggled with that was back when I was in high school. So before I went to the Rio Olympics, and I went to the World Junior Championships, which is an under-20 World Champs, and I won the bronze medal, and that was my first international medal. And I was the first woman to do it, or person, I think, as well, since Valerie Adams from New Zealand. So it was, I wasn't known really in New Zealand, but suddenly in athletics I kind of was. And so I felt a whole lot of pressure then, and I really struggled for the next year or so because of that. Thankfully, I got myself together for 2016 for the Rio Olympics. But I suppose by that point I'd had a little bit of experience with that. And the thing that I think saved me the most was that when I came back from Rio, I already had a manager. I have a family who is just so wonderful in how they support me in everything I do. So I have an incredible support network. So I came back from Rio completely thrust into this lifeline. It was really shocking, but I had such good support around me that I wasn't going to fall through the cracks. And I guess that's just been the same since. And people recognise me a lot less these days, I think, actually. So it gets easier, but I think it's really been my support network that's just helped me navigate that quite well.
Can you see a finish line? Can you see a time where you think, okay, this is one part of my life, but it doesn't define all of my life. It's a wonderful part of it. It's a huge part of it. You have all these milestones, but I'm going to walk away from this, and I've got other things that I actually want to do. And can you let us know what maybe some of those might be?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of when, I don't know. I think it'd be very hard to know as an athlete until the time comes. But I mean, obviously, Paris Olympics is about 18 months away. That's a major thing that I'm working towards at the moment, and then I'll reassess after that. And absolutely no idea what my decision would be at this point in time.
Yep.
But beyond athletics, I'm this year about to graduate in an environmental science Bachelor of Science degree, so I'm very excited about that because it's been a long time coming. And I'm slowly working with my sponsors, but also other organisations like World Athletics and the Olympic Committee and International Olympic Committee and things like that, where I'm starting to advocate for environmental sustainability within the sport, but also just in general. And that's really, I think, where I want my kind of post-sport career to go. So I'm slowly making those connections now, but it's not really something that until after sport that I could probably dive into as a full-time job.
I think I heard the postman coming because the dog started barking. Was that Daisy started barking?
Yes, it is Daisy. No, she's a good little guard dog in our house, I have to say.
Oh, look, all the very best. It's so cool to see you competing again, and we only wish you that you just fly higher and higher, and all the very best from here to Paris.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that.